Hello everyone, Shaman here. Today I'm showing you how to install the new version of Cacti, currently version 1.2, on a Debian server. Now I've done other videos on Cacti on how to install it. However, 1.2 has a few more dependencies and the installation of MySQL and the LAMP stack are slightly different in the new versions that have come since my last video. So I'm going to be compiling this from the source instead of using the repositories. That way we can ensure that we have the latest updates and any fixes that are happening on the GitHub page. So I'm at github.com/cacti and in the folder Cacti. And this is just a base install of Debian. So there are a couple of things I need to do. So the first thing will be to install Git, which is not installed by default on Debian. Okay, so let's install the LAMP stack. So if you're not familiar with the LAMP stack is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So we already have Linux, so we will have to install MySQL server. Actually, I'm going to do Mariah. Just get the actual page. Okay, so I'm going to be installing Mariah DB server. Mariah is a enhanced version of MySQL, and it's a pretty much drop-in replacement for it. So the same MySQL commands will work. You do notice, at least I notice, a performance improvement out of the box. MySQL is still a big competitor, but Mariah, I feel out of the box without having to tweak it much. I see a bit of a performance improvement. So after we install this, we'll have to install Apache and PHP. And I will install the dependencies at that time for PHP that Cacti will need later. So we're going to install Apache 2, PHP, PHP-GD, PHP-XML, PHP MySQL, and RRD. I will put this in the description below. These are the dependencies that you will need for the install. So you have Apache, PHP, and then the sub modules in PHP required in the install. So we'll just make that go ahead and install. Okay, so it should be done any moment now. I'll just pause the video for now. Okay, so now the installation of PHP is complete. Okay, so now what we'll do is let's go to the page just to test that Apache is working properly. Okay, so we have Apache. So let's go ahead and download the Cacti code. We'll clone the Cacti code into the var www html directory, which is the default Apache directory. Now what we'll do is make www.data the owner of the Cacti directory. Okay. Now go into the Cacti directory, into the includes subdirectory, and what we'll do is copy this file config.php.dist to config.php. This is where we'll set up our database entries. So database username, I'll just make Cacti, and the password I'll make Cacti. Of course, in production or any of your servers that you're going to use, you may want to change this password. But since this is a demo and a lab, I'm comfortable with Cacti. Okay. So now you notice that when I installed MySQL, it didn't ask, in this case Mariah, it didn't ask for me to set up a password. That's because you have to run the MySQL _secure installation script. This will take you through kind of a base security checkpoint where you can make basic security settings. Okay, you'll run it as sudo. Okay, so we'll be setting the root password. Put in my password. Remove anonymous users. Yes. Don't allow root login remotely. That's a good idea. Remove tests and reload privileges. Okay. So now we're going to create our database. Okay. I also put this code at the bottom of your of the description, which will help you your database properly. So what we're going to do is now grant privileges on the Cacti database to a user called Cacti, identified by the password Cacti. Flush privilege. Hit OK. Let's go back to the page, and if you do /cacti, you'll be taken to the installation. Okay. Now, there are some another step that you have to do, and that's import the Cacti database structure. We've already done this. We'll also have to grant access to the MySQL time zone table. So change this. So the password is Cacti. Change the sum user to Cacti. Enter the password. Oops. Run this as sudo as well. Okay. So we've completed that step. Next step is importing the Cacti database structure. So to do that, you're going to go var www html cacti include. Actually, not the include, just simply Cacti. And if you do Cacti, you'll see that there's a cacti.sql file in here. So we got to import that Cacti file into the database. So to do that, sudo cacti.sql. And what this does is it imports all the tables that are needed in order to for Cacti to work. Because basically, when you create a new database, there's no tables, there's nothing. So this imports a structure, and we'll just wait for this to do its thing. Okay, and that's done now. So if I come back here, reload the page, I see that now I am able to get to the login. So default is admin, and you'll be asked to change your password. Okay, so I changed my password. I'm asked to select a theme and accept the license, so I'm done. Now, previous note. If you get this page, however, and a pop-up saying error code 500, internal server error, please ensure that you have the PHP -XML module installed. If you don't have it, this page will not load properly. So hit begin, and let's see, I've missed 3. Actually, that's funny because I thought I installed the GD, but we'll go ahead and double check. Okay, I've missed PHP LDAP and MB string, so let's go back to the server. Sudo apt-get install php-ldap and php-mb string. Now, at the same time, you can continue installing this. Even though it shows required and installed and it's showing no, you can go ahead with the install and Cacti will work. What this simply is that eventually you're most likely not going to want to have local accounts for your Cacti install, and so you probably going to use LDAP, and I would highly recommend it in a production environment instead of local accounts. And the GD, I believe that helps for graphics rendering, and MB string, I'm thinking that was for an SNMP dependency, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'm going to install it anyways. Okay. Now once installed, it's a good idea to restart the Apache service. Okay, so now that I've restarted the Apache service, let's reload the page. Okay. And as you can see, I have a yes for everything now. So GD, MB string, and LDAP all say yes. Okay. So let's go next. Okay, so yes, this is a new primary server. Okay. So you'll see here that it says that I don't have the spine library. You don't really need it. Spine is used as a more advanced poller if you have a large install. But if you're only monitoring like 50 devices, there's a cmd.php module that's in there that does the job pretty well. We'll hit next. It checks to make sure that it's able to write to all the folders it needs. Hit next. Okay, yeah, 5-minute data pool, that's fine. And I'll use all the default templates. Next. So you can see that if you've used Cacti before, there are a couple more features and there's much more of a rich install procedure than before. And that goes with all the work that's been done on Cacti, and it's really grown to be a more well-rounded, it's a very stable platform. It has some things that if you're used to corporate tools that kind of bug you versus, it's not 100% up there with SolarWinds or a lot of the paid for NMS systems, but this definitely comes right under those. And in some cases, because of the open source and the customizations from the community, you can definitely fit it to whatever needs you want. So I'm really liking the new version of Cacti. So I'm just going to wait for this to install, and then we'll do a login and go from there. Give me a moment, we'll be right back. Okay, so the installation completed, so what we're going to do is click Get Started now. So I'm back at the server /Cacti, and now we are in the well-known Cacti page. Now this is where you set everything up. So in the latest version, we still have all the same. So our built-in reporting, the graphs, the console. Now I'm going to create a new device to show you that it's pretty much the same now. So create new device. So you can see some things that have been added. For instance, location, that's new. If you're looking from back at even 0.8 and around that time, we really didn't have something like that. So you can create locations. So you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have multiple locations, you can tag this device to that specific location, and you know, it helps you identify once things go wrong there. So I'm just not going to bother setting up SNMP at this time. Just set up a single ping. We'll hit create. Now, I'm getting ping timed out. That's not an issue with Cacti at this time. It's the virtual machine that I have not bridged to my network. So let's just fix that. Oh, wait a minute. My bad, actually. Let's try this again. Oh, okay. That was weird. Okay, but now we have ping success. We're going to hit create graph. Unix ping latency, since this is just a ping. Hit create. Create again. Go back to the console. Devices. We'll place that on the default tree. And now I'll see my switch that's on here, and I'll have to wait at least 5 minutes for the polar to run next time, and then the graphs will start generating. So now there are tons of other different things you can do with Cacti. I highly encourage you to read the man pages and the documentation for Cacti. There's a lot of work that's been done in the enrichment of the graphs. There's automation now. There's tons of other different things you can really do with this, and if you have any questions on how to set it up or have any issues, just let me know and I'll be happy to help you out. My email address is sean@seanmancini.com, and you can visit me on my blog, www.seanmancini.com. Talk to you guys later. Thank you.